Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving straight into how you can actually protect your wealth and, more importantly, your family by tackling something almost all of us love to delay: estate planning. While reading through the latest insights from the Wealthy and Wise Family Office newsletter, I was struck by this crazy paradox. Most families will spend literally decades carefully building up their wealth, right? But then they'll procrastinate for years on the four critical documents that actually determine what happens to it. Estate planning is one of those very few things every single adult absolutely needs, but it's also this weird gray area where most people have never been properly guided. Well, today, we're going to change that. We're going to completely demystify what an estate plan actually does, look at the frankly staggering costs of ignoring it, and explore a modern, affordable way to finally get it done.
Right off the bat, the source material completely shatters the biggest excuses we all use to procrastinate. We constantly tell ourselves it's either way too early to worry about this stuff, or we've waited so long that it's too late. Well, both of those? Completely false. Think about it. A 35-year-old without a plan is just one unexpected accident away from leaving their family members totally stranded without the legal authority to manage their affairs. On the flip side, an 80-year-old can still build a complete, robust plan in just a matter of weeks. What's the alternative? Letting the state decide your family's fate? And as the source pointedly reminds us, the state has never met your family, so why let them make the rules?
Here is the hard truth of the matter. The true cost of putting this off isn't actually paid by you. It falls squarely on the shoulders of the people you love the absolute most. We spend our entire working lives accumulating assets, trying to build this solid safety net, right? But ignoring these foundational documents means leaving our loved ones burdened with impossible, incredibly costly decisions during their hardest, most grief-stricken moments. So getting this sorted out isn't just paperwork. It's actually a really profound act of care. Let's break down the actual foundation of your plan. We'll start with the last will and testament. This is the one document everyone has heard of, but surprisingly, so many still don't have. It does a couple of crucial things. First, it clearly directs who receives your assets. But even more importantly, and this is huge if you have minor children, it dictates exactly who will care for them. Because if you don't have a will, the state literally writes the script for your family's future. They assign guardians and hand out assets based on this rigid, one-size-fits-all legal formula that probably looks absolutely nothing like what you'd actually want. Okay, moving over to the medical side of things. These tools are absolute lifesavers, literally and figuratively. They completely spare your loved ones from having to guess your medical wishes during a severe crisis. A living will spells out the specific medical treatments and interventions you want, or, just as importantly, absolutely do not want if you can't communicate. When you pair that with the healthcare proxy, which appoints someone you implicitly trust to carry out those specific wishes, you are actively lifting this massive, heavy burden of impossible life or death decisions right off your family's shoulders. Now, what happens to your finances if there's a medical emergency? This next document makes sure your financial life doesn't just freeze up. A durable power of attorney authorizes someone you trust to handle your money matters if you become incapacitated. Without it, just imagine your family actually having to go down to a court and beg a judge simply for the legal permission to access your checking account so they can pay your daily bills or keep the mortgage afloat. It's a nightmare you definitely want to avoid. Finally, we have the heavy hitter, the revocable living trust. For families with meaningful assets, or maybe you have property spread out across a couple of different states, this tool is vital. It's designed to keep your affairs completely private and entirely out of the court system. It perfectly supports long-term, multi-generational wealth planning. And the best part? As the word revocable suggests, it stays fully changeable during your lifetime. You remain 100% in the driver's seat. All right, let's talk about the absolute storm you want to avoid at all costs: probate. Probate is the very public court process used to validate a will and oversee the distribution of your assets. And here's the kicker. It can easily eat up 3 to 7% of your entire estate and court costs and legal fees. Just think about that for a second. Imagine taking up to 7% of literally everything you've built over a lifetime and just handing it over to the court system, all because of a lack of basic planning. And honestly, even worse than the financial hit is the cost in time and privacy. Probate is like being stuck in the slowest DMV line imaginable, except it drags on for anywhere from 6 to 24 months. During that whole time, your assets are completely locked up. And to top it off, your family's entirely private financial affairs, they become a matter of public record for anyone out there to look up. It is a slow, public, and incredibly expensive ordeal at the exact time your family just needs quick, private closure. Fortunately, there is a way out.
The source outlines how you can completely bypass this probate trap by using 3 really common, highly effective tools. First up, making sure you have beneficiary designations on your retirement accounts, as well as transfer on death or payable on death designations on your bank accounts. Second, using joint ownership with rights of survivorship for things like real estate. And third, utilizing those properly funded revocable living trusts we just talked about. A really well-structured estate plan gets all 3 of these working in harmony to keep your family far, far away from a courtroom.
Now, I know exactly what you might be thinking right now. This all sounds great, but estate planning is just ridiculously expensive. Well, the landscape has changed massively. In the past, getting an estate plan meant dealing with a fragmented process and getting hit with steep legal fees anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 or even more. But today, it's a whole new ballgame. By utilizing an integrated attorney-grade digital platform that's customized for your state and legally recognized across all 50 states, you can get the whole shebang done at roughly 1/10 of the traditional cost. It's a total game changer. But listen, just getting the documents, that's really only half the battle. As the newsletter wisely points out, an unfunded trust is basically just empty paperwork. It doesn't actually protect anything. A proper advisory process has to include figuring out which documents your family actually needs, perfectly aligning your beneficiaries and account titling, actually funding those trusts, and then tracking the entire process right through to the finish line.
Okay, so protecting your assets is the defensive side of the playbook. Let's shift gears over to the offense and look at how you can visualize the rest of your financial picture. Having your legal documents in order absolutely protects your wealth, sure, but really understanding your numbers, that is how you actually build and sustain that wealth over time.
To help with this, the newsletter introduces an awesome suite of interactive calculators. Instead of just guessing and hoping for the best, these tools put the math directly into your hands. We're talking about an investment growth projector, a debt and mortgage calculator, a retirement drawdown calculator, and a legacy and inheritance planner. They let you run real-world scenarios based on your actual numbers and your specific life goals.
Take the investment growth projector, for example. We always hear that classic advice to start early and stay invested, right? Well, this tool visually proves that it isn't just some dusty financial cliche. It is mathematically undeniable. When you plug your own numbers in, you can actually watch compounding do its thing. It feels painfully slow at the very beginning, gets kind of steady in the middle years, and then just accelerates into something truly extraordinary over the long haul. Seeing it visually mapped out like that just makes all the difference in the world. Along those same lines, the retirement drawdown calculator tackles a massive misconception. So many people just assume that the second they retire, they should immediately move everything into cash just to be safe. Well, this calculator shows you the stark, undeniable contrast between staying reasonably invested versus moving entirely to cash. That single, seemingly small decision can literally determine whether your hard-earned wealth actually lasts your entire lifetime or if it dries up way too soon. So I want to leave you with this final, incredibly important thought. If you weren't here tomorrow, what is the exact script the state would force upon your family? And more importantly, is it the script you actually want? Remember, no situation is ever too late to fix, and absolutely no question about your financial future is too basic to ask. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. I hope you take that empowering first step and keep learning.